Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Square Circle Podcast. I am your host, Marie Shadows. And on this episode of the Square Circle Podcast, I will be reviewing in full Impact Wrestling that debuted on October 13th, 2020. This is my fifth review of Impact Wrestling. Remember, I am getting right back into Impact Wrestling. I've been away for 14 years, and it's definitely a different product, a different feel, and they're definitely still doing the right things, especially with their Knockouts division. So, as a quick recap, September 22nd was the first review, September 29th is the second review, October 3rd was Victory Road. That is review number 3. October 6th is the fourth review, and this review is the fifth review. As always, if you enjoy Impact Wrestling, thank you for listening to the Square Circle Podcast, and thank you for listening to my perspective and my review of each and every match, and just the product overall. And I also want to give a huge shout out to all of my listeners around the world. So, if you listen to this podcast on anchor.fm/Square Circle Podcast, I highly thank you guys. Your listens are amazing. So, in the United States, we have a total of 86% of listenerships. They come from New Jersey, Virginia, Washington, Ohio, Texas, New York, North Carolina, Connecticut, Illinois, California, South Dakota, Florida, and Oregon. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen from the United States, for listening and being here with me always. Now, over on the United Kingdom side, with 5% of listeners, and they are all from England. Thank you, United Kingdom. Thank you, England, for listening to the Square Circle Podcast. Over on the Ireland side, 3% of listeners are over there. And if I mispronounced your hometown, I am so sorry. I am not good with these names. Leinster and Cognot, thank you guys over there for listening to the Square Circle Podcast. And of course, Canada with 1% of listeners. However, the geographic location got a little bit bigger. So thank you guys from Ontario, Newfoundland and Labrador, Nova Scotia, Quebec, and Alberta. Thank you to everyone who has ever listened to an episode of the Square Circle Podcast. If you want to see your hometown in there, just make sure to share with your friends. Make sure to listen and give feedback and all that good stuff. For now, let's jump right into Impact Wrestling. We open up with a women's tag team match. It is the team of Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie versus Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan versus Havoc and Nevaeh. There's a lot of tag team combo moves by Tasha and Kiera. Face plant from Nevaeh to Tasha. There's a suicide dive from Kiera. Drop kick from Taya to Nevaeh. Taya high crossbody onto Havoc, Nevaeh, and Kiera. Rosemary does a spear, then a double underhook sit out as the finisher, and this allows Rosemary and Taya to pick up the victory. On commentary, they mentioned that both Rosemary and Taya have a 3-win victory under their belt as a tag team. They have not been tag teaming very long, but the chemistry is there, and I enjoy watching the knockouts in the ring. Impact Wrestling has always been ahead of the curve when it comes to women's wrestling and put the women on the front and center. The reason why Impact Wrestling has such a great women's foundation is because back then, during Impact days, from what I remember it, the men had their stories, the men were great. However, the men division was lacking at the time. Therefore, all of the women stepped up. You had the beautiful people, which I enjoyed them as well. You had Gail Kim, you had Victoria, you had a lot of different names come in and out of the women's division to make the women's division what it is today in Impact Wrestling. After that, Impact commentators tell us what is the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and that is basically where the winner gets to call their title shots. So it's like a Money in the Bank type of thing, but when you win, you don't really get a briefcase, you don't get anything. You just say, I want to face so-and-so for the title. Next, we get a small little video package of Rosemary talking to Havoc, Rosemary is soon to get married to John E. Bravo, and she wants Father James Mitchell there to officiate the wedding. However, Havoc has done something to Father James Mitchell, and she wants him to be left where she sent him at. However, a deal is made between these women. Havoc and Rosemary agree to a match next week on Impact. If Rosemary gets the victory over Havoc, Havoc will definitely journey to the depths of hell or wherever she left Father James Mitchell at to bring him so he can officiate Rosemary's wedding. However, if Rosemary loses this match, Havoc will do no such thing, and Father James Mitchell will stay where he is at, and he will not officiate Rosemary's wedding. After that, we get Fallah Bahh versus Crazy Steve, because Crazy Steve is convinced that Fallah Bahh has Hernandez's money that Fallah Bahh was supposed to give to Johnny E. Bravo, because the cost of this wedding and everything and the planning has been too much and way out of their budget. It was just a comedy of a match. Crazy Steve rips Fallah Bahh's shirt off to reveal the money that Fallah Bahh took from Hernandez, does a roll up because Fallah Bahh wants to protect the money and wants people to know that he didn't take it, that it's not there. So Crazy Steve gets the victory over Fallah Bahh. After that, we get a Heath for Impact little video where Rhino comes out of Scott D'Amore's office and he tells Heath Slater that he got him into the Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. If either of them wins, then Heath Slater will get a contract with Impact Wrestling. It will not be the contract that Scott D'Amore originally tried to give Heath Slater. It will be the contract that Heath Slater tried to give Scott D'Amore to sign. However, there's also another catch to this whole entire situation. If neither of them win, both of them are out of a contract, and that includes Rhino. Rhino put his contract up in order to save Heath. If Heath wins, he gets to be part of Impact. If they both lose, they get nothing. Now come Bound for Glory, it's definitely going to be all stakes and a very serious match. After that, we get the qualifier for the Call Your Shot match. We have the team of Tenille Dashwood and Tommy Dreamer and Johnny Swinger and Brian Myers and Diener taking on Hernandez, Cousin Jake, Alicia, Rhino, and Heath. Whichever team won is going to the gauntlet. It was a little confusing on how Impact talked about it and set it up. So if I sound confused, that's because it really was confusing. So Heath does the wake up call to Johnny Swinger in order to have their team, the one that Rhino is on with him, pick up the victory. So that means that they are going to Bound for Glory October 24th for the Call Your Shot Gauntlet, and hopefully they win that. After that, we get our second women's match of the night. It is Kimber Lee versus Kylie Rae. Tilt-A-World has scissors to Kimber Lee from Kylie. Hurricanrana spinning kick to Kimber from Kylie. Kimber Lee puts Kylie Rae back first against the ring apron. This is where the momentum changes in the match. No longer does Kylie Rae have the upper hand against Kimber Lee. The Kylie special, however, there was almost a 3 count for that. Smile to the finish from Kylie to Kimber. And this allows Kylie Rae to pick up the victory. Deonna comes in and kicks Kylie in the back. Both are exchanging blows. Kylie is upset. And this allows Kylie Rae to start acting out of character. Deonna is very good at eliciting that. Kylie Rae is usually the smiley type of wrestler, and she doesn't do any harm. She doesn't act out in violence. However, Deonna Purrazzo has been having Kylie Rae show a different side to everyone. So come Bound for Glory, October 24th, it will be Deonna Purrazzo facing Kylie Rae. Our main event is Doc Gallows taking on Madman Fulton. At one point, it was just fighting all over the ring. It became a count out, and then the match got restarted, and now it was a fall counts anywhere match. Both of these guys were using a bunch of chairs, tables, all the weapons in the world, even fighting around the ring. Then a double chokeslam between two chairs to Mad Fulton from Doc Gallows, and that allows Doc Gallows to pick up the victory in this match. After that, we get an Eric Young promo where Eric Young says that he is proud to add additional and substantial damage to Rich Swann's ankle. Scott D'Amore is out there and he's explaining all these medical terms and wanting to know why Eric Young turned into such a vicious and vile person with the championship title. However, we get informed that Rich Swann is still ahead of schedule, and Eric Young decides to start hurting Scott D'Amore's ankle, and then Rich Swann appears at the end to save the day. It will still be Rich Swann versus Eric Young at Bound for Glory October 24th, and then Impact closes with a cinematic match against EC3 and Moose for the TNA Heavyweight Championship title. This was a very quick cinematic match. They were fighting on the bridge. Moose bloodied EC3 and he takes back the title belt, and you see EC3 laughing in the background. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of my Impact Wrestling number 5 review. Again, if you enjoyed these reviews and my perspective on pro wrestling, please make sure to always listen to the complete full episode either on anchor.fm/Square Circle Podcast or over on the Patreon side.com/Rookie SCP, where you guys can get more content on the Patreon side than you would on the Anchor side. But either or, I thank you guys for listening. I thank you guys for sharing and commenting. If you guys want to chat with me on Twitter, at Marie_Shadows is where you can find me. If you want to leave me messages, Anchor has a great voice message system. So does Patreon and so does Twitter. Like always, thank you for all your support, and I'll see you guys in the next one.